The Dallas Cowboys have made another signing in NFL free agency as they add to the defensive side of the ball with a former player coming back to Dallas. Plus, they make a new update on Jonathan Mingo's contract as he takes a pay cut to help the Cowboys financially. And we break it down what that means and the details behind it here today on Cowboys Digest. Welcome everybody, I'm Jace Andrews. Hope you're having a great day wherever you might be. Gonna get right into the signing here. Nick Harris had the report just a little bit ago. The Cowboys are expected to sign outside linebacker Tyrus Wheat when the new league year opens this afternoon, according to his representation. He is a ERFA for Detroit, but wasn't tendered. Again, he was let go, basically. He was signed as a UDFA in 2023 by Dallas and played in 20 games for the Cowboys. Special teams help added. So a key note here from Nick Harris at the very end of this tweet that, yes, he is on the defensive side of the ball, but he will play a majority of his snaps on the special teams unit. Last year for the Detroit Lions, not a lot going on for the defensive end. 15 games played, 15 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Did have a forced fumble, but the bigger thing here is that the Cowboys have known Tyrus Wheat. Like I said, a UDFA for the Dallas Cowboys back in 2023. Spent his first 2 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys. Here are the stats in those 3 seasons: 12 games in 23, 8 games in 24, had a half sack in that year as well. Ultimately, not a lot of stats to show for really the 3 years that he's been in the NFL. But again, special teams is where, supposedly, according to Nick Harris, he is going to shine. Now, this marks the, I believe, 5th signing for the Dallas Cowboys here in NFL free agency. Here are the moves they have made thus far. Safety, Jalen Thompson, outside linebacker here, and the new one, Tyrus Wheat. Defensive tackle, Otito Ogbonnia, safety, PJ Locke, and then last night, the quarterback, Sam Howell, made the signing as well. But the Cowboys have not just made signings. Obviously, Rashawn Gary has been in the trade. But for Tyrus Wheat, funny enough, his PFF grade really high, 82.3. He just didn't have enough snaps to actually qualify for anything. In fact, only 66 snaps. That ranks him 163rd out of 206 edge rushers. Did have 3 pressures as well. He is an outside linebacker in this Dallas Cowboys Christian Parker system. I think there's not a lot to, look past that. But again, it's about building depth. And I talked about this yesterday when they signed Otito Ogbonnia, but the Cowboys, to try and become that winning team, you need to make winning moves. And winning teams make smaller moves. Not to say that Tyrus is the small player or whatever, but it's something that's not going to, flash up on the screen, a great move, all this, but it's something that is going to be good for the Dallas Cowboys in the future, and of course will be a thing the Cowboys look toward, and hopefully can see what happens here in this 2026 NFL season. Now, this is not the only Cowboys move that happened today. In fact, I mentioned those other Cowboys move. We'll see if you can find the rabbit in the hat here. Traded for defensive tackle Rashawn Gary. They have re-signed defensive edge rusher Sam Williams. They also made Jonathan Mingo take a pay cut. Now, what in the world does this mean? Because it's an intriguing story to say the least. Let's start first with Aaron Wilson, who tweeted out this earlier today. Cowboys, Jonathan Mingo, 1 year, $1.145 million. The problem? He was already under contract for that exact same number. So why was this a tweet? Why was this something that was even necessary to put out by Aaron Wilson? Well, the details tell us a little bit more into the situation. KD Drummond of Cowboys Wire had this to say. He was scheduled to make $1.145 million in base salary in 2026, barely above the veteran minimum. So when Wilson tweeted the following, it initially didn't make much sense. But again, the details are where it comes down to. You see here, the devil is in the details. According to the contract website Spotrac, it is in fact a new deal. Mingo's rookie contract he signed with the Panthers that the Cowboys absorbed included an $813,000 workout bonus. It appears that Dallas went to him and told him if he wanted to remain in the system, he spent the last year and a half learning, as opposed to being released into free agency, he'd have to forego the bonus. And it seems as though Mingo said, I'd rather just stay here. And the Cowboys said, okay, we'll keep you then. This is an interesting statement and an interesting kind of situation because Jonathan Mingo was an obvious cut candidate. I mean, that was flat out just basic knowledge that, okay, we're going to cut Jonathan Mingo. He hasn't done anything in the 3 years of the Dallas Cowboys, and last year provided little to no help at all on the offensive side of the ball. Ultimately, did play in a game. I say he played in a game. He played in 6 last year, but I only count the last game. Only had 1 reception for 25 yards. It's about financials right now. And for the Cowboys on the offensive side of the ball, the wide receiver room, it's focusing on George Pickens. They have CeeDee Lamb. They have Ryan Flanoy. The signing of Jalen Tolbert has yet to happen. I don't think the Cowboys would mind bringing him back, so I'll put that out there. Still have Javonte Turpin. Now they still have Jonathan Mingo. Again, was supposed to be cut. I think that was the expectation for pretty much anybody you talked to. But with that signing bonus being $813, or rather workout bonus, I should say, being $813,000, that was, I guess, where the limit was for the Dallas Cowboys. And ultimately, they decided to say, hey, we can keep you. We can't keep this workout bonus. And I think Jonathan Mingo, he said, I'll stay here. Now, I still don't think that eludes him from being cut. The NFL is a dirty business. We learned that yesterday with Max Crosby and what happened. And then, of course, Trey Hendrickson signing with the Baltimore Ravens this morning. But I don't think it means he's not going to get cut. Even in the games he played in 2024, he only appeared in 8. 1 start, had just 5 receptions for 46 yards, no touchdowns. Still has yet to have a touchdown in his NFL career. And for a guy who was drafted to Carolina, upper round pick, you thought there'd be more in the tank, and ultimately nothing ends up coming of it. Listen, the Cowboys have done this the past couple of years, kind of making an interesting trade, and it does or doesn't work out. Last year it was Logan Wilson. You ended up cutting him. A little shocked Jonathan Mingo made it this far, but the wide receiver room, there's hope. He's still young, but it's just hard to see that this is the guarantee that, hey, you're going to be here next year. Because I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys, find a way to add a wide receiver, especially if George Pickens stays on that franchise tag. That's such a huge kind of caveat to all this, because they want GP3 on a long-term contract. We've heard that. We've seen them say it. But if they don't get that, then what's the plan future wide receiver room? Are you going to put him on a franchise tag next year? Are you going to try and re-sign him next year when there's going to be other teams who will probably offer him more money? It's a kind of weird situation. But the big news, obviously, Jonathan Mingo does take a pay cut. So Tyrus Wheat, going back to that signing, does get a deal with the Dallas Cowboys. Nick Harris had the report first. The Cowboys tend to do this. They find guys, Julius Wood or Julius, I can't remember his last name, but he was signed last year from the Tennessee Titans after he played with the Dallas Cowboys. So ultimately, Tyrus is going to come back to the new team. It seems as though the special teams unit is where he's going to be the biggest facilitator. And now we wait and see what the Cowboys' next move is, because although we talked about signing a linebacker, we really did mean inside linebacker. And on top of which, we meant a linebacker who would be productive for the Dallas Cowboys on day one, and that unfortunately has yet to been seen and yet to been signed by the Dallas Cowboys. Hopefully we get that in the near future, or at least a trade. Obviously Patrick Queen is still out there. There's other trades that we could go out there and get for the Cowboys, but right now we sit, we wait, we discuss the signings we have at hand, and we'll keep you updated as we go. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for the rest of the signings the Dallas Cowboys will have later today. Hopefully a linebacker in there. If it's not a signing, it'll be a trade. But we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time here on the show. Peace out, guys.